Hi guys, it's Xanderfaulk here and welcome to my found footage horror collection. The first on my list is Ghostwatch. Now this is probably the second found footage horror ever to be well known, and it plays out like a most haunted ghost adventures mockumentary. This was the first real BBC British one ever made, and it got banned because the main idea was to make this look real. People actually did believe this was real. I mean, someone committed suicide over this. Now that it's on DVD now, if you watch it now, it certainly hasn't aged that well. The acting is hokey in some areas, and it does look old and not very realistic. It's not convincing nowadays, but because people actually genuinely thought it was real, it had such a profound effect on people. However, it's still an exciting and quite a decent found footage horror genre for its time. The next we have The Tapes. Now I bought this about 2 months ago, and I watched it and I didn't particularly like it. However, I was watching it in the background and I wasn't paying too much attention with it. After Chemizon, found footage horror fan like me, he said he liked it, so I decided to watch it again, properly, and this time I really did enjoy it. It's certainly not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. I mean, there's so many bad ones out there. This one is it's about a bunch of kids that hear about this swingers party in this farm and decide to go there and just pretty much just hang about and take the mick. But unbeknownst to them, they come across something far more worse. The third today is the Blair Witch Project. Now, this is the shaky cam found footage horror film that started the craze off. This is the one that launched found footage genre into what it is now, and pretty much this is about a group of kids doing a documentary about the legend of the Blair Witch and end up going camping in the woods and end up finding something either supernatural or just downright dangerous. This was really good. I mean, I always had a go at this for being really silly, even though I never even watched it. So I picked it up cheap, watched it to gain my own opinion so I can have the right to say what I think about it, and I really did enjoy it. This is actually probably one of the best found footage horror films I've ever seen. I mean, I really did enjoy the Blair Witch Project. It was just really atmospheric and creepy, and it's one of them films that just stay with you for such a long time. It's really, really unnerving. And as you can see, I buy a lot of these films from HMV. They're bloody useful. Overall, it's a very chilling, atmospheric film, and the thing is, the acting was just so surprisingly good. They felt really authentic, the actors, and it's a shame they didn't go on to do anything more, because I know Heather Donahue didn't. But I think one of them only came out to have a successful career afterwards. Now, the next found footage horror is the famous Paranormal Activity, a story of a couple filming their ghostly phenomenon. Now, this was probably one of the first ones that I properly watched. This was like, I watched this after a few others, and I purely watched this out of interest of the genre, and I really did like this. It's well acted. For the budget they had, the things they achieve in this film is great. The ending is better, and I'm glad Steven Spielberg got Oren Peli to do that, because I thought the ending was a hell of a lot better than the alternate endings. It's a really well acted, really suspenseful build up to a shocking end, and in the case we've got the actual disc, and what we've got here is a Paranormal Activity after viewing help sheet, and if you do get a chance to see this, it's quite funny and it gets a cheap laugh. It's pretty funny. Now, the next found footage horror we'll be looking at, of course, is Paranormal Activity 2, the extended cut. Now, I did enjoy the second one, and I watched this one in theatres, and I found it really scary. But after watching it again, I looked at all the nitpicks I had. The pacing in this film is quite bad. It's really slow, and it drags on quite a bit. But the ending is still good. The scares are ramped up, and they try and do what they did in the first one a lot more on a bigger scale. The extended cut, you know, if they wanted you to pay more for the extended cut, it wouldn't be worth it. It's like an extra 10 minutes of extra ghostly phenomenon that doesn't make the film any better. You know, if you want some ghostly activity though, early on in the film, you may like this cut a bit more, but it's just like a baby chair falling and, the temperature in the jacuzzi, increasing. That's really it. And of course, the next one is, due to the success of another Spanish found footage horror film, we have Atrocious, which is a supernatural found footage horror film in Spain. This one surprised the hell out of me. It looked good, I got it with high expectations, and it blew me away. It was really good. It's atmospheric, the characters are believable. Again, it's like most found footage horror films, it's a slow burner, it takes a while, but when it gets to the end, it's just a full-on roller coaster thrill ride, and add a twist I actually didn't see coming. I can't really say what I thought about it without spoiling it, but it's a really interesting, atmospheric, well-acted, creepy, violent, shaky cam horror film. It's half of it's set in a maze, half of it's set in this massive house, and the location really helps, and the cast they chose for this film is really, really good. There's a couple of really cool chilling scenes in this film, and it's about the halfway point where things start to get really creepy. Nothing too particularly spooky happens until the very end, and like I said, when it does, it's a really enjoyable film. Now the next found footage horror film is Cloverfield. Now this would be the most recognisable one. It's not too much a found footage horror film, but it's one of the main ones that I think I knew most people watched, and now it's pretty much a monster alien attack in America from the perspective of a camera and a couple of mates that just happen to be included in this alien attack. Now, this is really good. It's a really good one, and it's definitely got the highest budget, but it doesn't mean it's the best. I've seen some more effective ones, but if you're looking for a found footage horror film that's not too ambiguous, this film goes for the more is more approach, not the more is less. Because it shows a lot. Now, if you're one of them people that want to see a ghostly one with, not a lot of stuff going on camera, then you probably may not like this one, because it does show a lot, but it does try hard to hide the alien in the beginning, but when you finally get a good close-up view, it's pretty freaking cool. And, it's no surprise that the film's good. It's done by Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams. I mean, they do everything very well, and for once, J.J. Abrams doesn't add lens flare in this. This special edition comes with 2 discs, the normal single edition disc and the special features, which have a lot more insight into how the film was made, and if you really like this film like me, you'll really enjoy it. Now personally, the best scene for me is when they go into the subway and they encounter some little creatures. It's a bit of a spoiler, but that's when you really feel the shaky cam found footage horror feel in the film. Now this one surprised the hell out of me. This is Evil Things. Now this is just a typical found footage P.O.V. horror film about a couple of kids that get attacked by some guy and some stalker, and they disappear. Now what made this film really good is because the trailers was a bit cheap, and it never really got distributed until now. It was made about early 2009, to the 10 period, and it only managed to get a few screenings and festivals, and it did so well that the director was managed to get a screener introduced, and it was under the guise of an FBI evidence, like you were taking part in a survey to see if you could gather any evidence about these missing people. And now that I've got the DVD, I could say it's a pretty good film. The quality's really good, the acting's quite surprising. I didn't think they were actors at all throughout the entire film. I do have to say, though, that the film is a bit ambiguous for me. It's a little bit too ambiguous for me, because the ending just leaves it on a really questionable note, and I would like to see how the director does any more of these if he chooses to. The cover isn't particularly... It doesn't do the film justice. The trailer for the film is pretty interesting, but the trailer makes out the film to be a lot more better than it is, and it makes the film seem a lot more action-packed, and pretty much the trailer just shows the last 5 to 10 minutes of the film. So if you have seen the newest trailer, or it's probably going to spoil the film. If you haven't seen the latest trailer, don't, and I'd pick it up. I got this in HMV very cheap. It was the only copy there, because no one knows about this, and it only got a distribution via a low-budget British distribution company. But it's still a very good film, and the guise of it being an FBI investigation is really cool as well. There's some decent special features on this. Now, the next found footage horror film is... You guessed it. Well, you probably haven't guessed it. Why did I say that? It's The Last Exorcism. This is probably another higher budget film. It's by a more recognisable company, and this pretty much follows a documentary queue following a a preacher who's going to perform one last exorcism to expose exorcisms as the hoax he believes they are. Now we encounter a young girl, and throughout the film it makes the audience question whether she really is possessed or she isn't, she's just faking it. It's really, really well done. There is music in the film. The director did a good job of creating a really good atmosphere. The actors are really good, especially the preacher. Patrick Fabian is an amazing actor. I thought he did the role very well, very authentic. He was believable. And the ending's really good as well, and it's quite ambiguous, but I'm fine with this ambiguous ending because, believe it or not, they're doing a sequel to this film, and by the looks of it, it'll be very good. And it's just the way it ends, you definitely would want a sequel, and if they left it on that note, it'd be quite disappointing. The DVD comes with a lot of special features about exorcism and this found footage film we have here is probably one of the best found footage films I've ever seen. It's the first Spanish found footage horror film that sparked it off in Spain. It's Wreck, as you guys can see. This is a great found footage horror film. As it says on the back when we turn to it, it's pretty much Blair Witch meets 28 Days Later. A documentary crew are filming a fire station, and they get called to an apartment block due to a distressing situation, and it turns out some zombie-like creatures are loose, and it's pretty much them trying to get out and survive. This is really good. The acting is great. It does feel authentic. It's really creepy. Sets the atmosphere well. It's good. Even the action's great. It doesn't drag at all. It's just really well filmed. Now, it is very shaky, and if you don't want to watch them P.O.V. films that are ridiculously shaky, like someone's shaking the camera, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. The Blu-ray quality, I bought this on Blu-ray so I could get the best quality. It's definitely better than a DVD version, but it's definitely not like a showcase Blu-ray. But the Blu-ray, I got it for £7. It's definitely worth it. Wreck is a great, great found footage horror film. And yeah, it's a surprise. It's no surprise that Spain are now doing a lot of found footage horror films. I mean, I'm not sure if they were the ones behind the Silent House. It's not a found footage film, but it's still done in one take, or made to look in one take. And of course, we have Wreck sequel, Wreck 2. Now, I did a review of this about a year and a half ago, and this Wreck 2 was probably one of the best sequels I've ever seen for a film as well, because what Wreck 1 was, that was a proper horror film. Now Wreck 2 is the Aliens equivalent of Wreck. More action, more violence, more scares, more story. Now I thought it was just purely just another zombie apocalypse film, and I wasn't sure how they would attend to this, but my god, the way they developed the story, I did not expect it, and I did not like it to start with, but then I realised, the way they executed it, that the way they were going, they'd planned this, and it was really well executed, and I really did enjoy Wreck 2. It's a lot more action-packed, it's definitely got a bigger budget, the Blu-ray quality in this film is a lot clearer, a lot sharper, there are a few extras on this. This one was just even more of a thrill ride, and Wreck 2 is the film in the franchise that ends the story arc in the apartment block, leading for Wreck 3, a normal film with found footage elements, to continue the story. Wreck 3 will be more like it's a sequel, but it's not related too much to this one. It follows the outbreak at a different location, and Wreck 4 will be a proper shaky cam horror film, which is a direct follow-up to Wreck 2. This is probably one of the best found footage horror films I've ever seen. Wreck 2 blew me away. It's a great horror film, definitely worth checking out if you are a found footage nut like me. And well, yeah. Now that's it, guys. The reason why I was going to do a part 1 is because on January the 6th I will be getting 3 more found footage horror films that I want to be added to my collection, and I thought I'd do a video of that when I get them. So remember, guys, tune in onto my channel on the 6th of January for part 2 of my shaky cam horror collection, my found footage horror collection, if you want to call it that. To see what else I get. I'm definitely a good fan of it. It's probably one of my most favourite genre. There is definitely some bad ones, and there's some really good ones, and these are the ones that I have that I deem worthy. So thank you guys for watching this video. Xanderfaulk saying goodbye.